Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for showing up. It is now 7 p.m., Thursday, October 9th, 2025, and I call to order the City Council meeting. First thing, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's start this off with the roll call, please. Start from my left. Councilwoman Andra.
Here.
Kiss. Councilwoman Pedro Wright.
Here.
Council President.
Here.
Right now we're missing Jesse. He's on the way. And Councilman James Gould.
Here.
We have a quorum. We will continue. Rick, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda we need to know about?
There are no additions or deletions to the agenda, but I would remind the council that we're working off an amended agenda, not the one that was on the packet. There are no other changes beyond the amended agenda.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to go right into public comment on non-agenda items. The City Council values and welcomes public input on matters of city concern. Please address the council as a whole rather than individual council members. The council may direct staff to resolve the issue or schedule the matter for further council decision. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person with an optional 2 minutes for council questions and answers. This also means there's also a 30-minute limit in total for the public comment. So we've met this many people here, we probably won't be able to get everybody up to speaking, but we'll see what we can do about getting as many as we can. So if you wish to address the council, please come forward to the podium and identify yourself with name and address for the record first.
As we're trying to get organized, I'm wondering, we're good, we're good. Debbie Jones is the school board chair, and so she's representing the school board tonight, representing the district. So if you're wondering, 5 minutes for public comment.
That would be okay, it's just two of them. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Can you? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
So Jenny's passing out.
I would invite the council not to look at this. It is an ex parte contract that we should have to consider in considering the defense of it. We will accept it. But
Table, not discuss it.
I would advise the council to not review.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Dandy Stevens, Superintendent of the Jervis School District, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the district and our board of directors. On September 4th, this council heard our appeal of the city planner's recommendation for a 2-foot path in front of Jervis High School. After the hearing was closed, a motion was made that went beyond what had been noticed, contradicted your own staff's recommendations, and denied the district and the public a chance to respond to a new requirement for a full sidewalk. Some have suggested that the district should simply have accepted the 2-foot path and been thankful. But the right to appeal is part of a democratic process, and exercising it should not mean punishment. Respectful disagreement often leads to stronger solutions, and that is what we seek. The district would like to highlight 4 key issues. First, costs. Public construction projects carry far higher costs than private projects. For the 2-foot path alone, estimates from our general contractor and project manager total more than $253,000, which I've provided to you as a copy in your packet. It is public record. A full sidewalk with curbs and tree removal would be significantly more. These are not costs our community can absorb lightly. The district has also included an arborist report documenting the impact of attempting to preserve the trees while creating some type of sidewalk. The district is also unable to reduce any more parking slots at the high school in order to facilitate the sidewalk, as if we have already reduced parking spaces to create the new drop-off lanes. Prior to asking voters to approve the bond, the district engaged architects and engineers to scope the projects and determine a dollar amount for the bond. Based on their extensive experience with other cities and other school districts on their bonds, and after reviewing the city's code for remodels versus new construction, they recommended including sidewalk and driveway improvements only at the middle school site. Their guidance aligned with the city code for remodel projects. Second, consistency in applying the city code. Our new middle school construction fully complies with the city connectivity requirements for new construction. That makes this new requirement particularly difficult to understand. The elementary school remodel has not triggered any sidewalk improvements. Yet the middle school, which is a new construction project and already fully compliant with connectivity standards, is now being tied to an additional sidewalk in front of the high school, a site where only remodeling is occurring. Third, safe routes to school report. The report identifies Douglas Avenue sidewalks as a city responsibility, grant opportunities to fund such projects, and the city is the applying agency. None of those infrastructure improvements are identified as the school district's responsibility. It also highlights that providing crosswalks, including elevated crosswalks, is what would be the safest solution for students. These are listed in the city's responsibility on page 49, City of Jervis implementation priorities, and on page 67, City of Jervis prioritized project cost estimates. The Safe Routes to School grant the city received in the fall of 2022 for the improvements on Douglas Avenue included sidewalks in front of the elementary school and the K2 building. The district was not asked or expected to contribute to those improvements. Fourth, community voice. It's important to note that right now, 73% of the bond dollars are not spent. We are still in the bidding process. However, the district cannot willfully overspend the bond, so we must plan accordingly, which is also why the district chose to engage in an appeal process. One section of the high school roof was not completed over the summer. We are applying for another seismic grant in January, which would pay for this portion of the roof. However, we will not know if we receive the grant until May of 2026. While the district continues to access grants to help offset costs associated with bond projects, with so many unknowns, at this point, being fiscally cautious is a must. The district issued a survey, also included in your packet, asking voters to prioritize what reductions should be made to the projects if necessary. Of the 218 survey responses, more than 88% asked that the city and the district work together to resolve this issue and preserve the trees in front of the high school. Tonight, the district is respectfully asking the council to consider one of the following options. 1, rule on the actual appeal that was noticed based on the information and the testimony already received. Or 2, find a way to allow our permits to move forward with Marion County so site preparation can begin while the district and the city continue to work on solutions. We are on an extremely tight timeline to drill 343 piers in the foundation of the middle school site before the rain sets in and also within the window that the contractor has available. Any delay puts that entire middle school project at risk of not being completed on time or on budget. We are prepared to work collaboratively with the city to find a solution, but leaving the current decision in place with no adjustments means both the city and the district will face unnecessary costs, including additional legal costs that neither of us can afford. This bond was more than 30 years in the making and is an investment for our students and our entire community. It should be a source of pride and not conflict. I urge you to reconsider the September 4th action and allow us to move forward together. Thank you.
Anyone else, please? Thank you. Come on.
And I just want to make a comment that appreciate the police coverage of the four-way stop. It certainly has made a difference. I know that people watch and don't watch, but it so far has made a difference. Thank you.
Great job, officers.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is talking in public. My name is Maria Contreras and I live at 983rd Street, Jervis. I'm here on behalf of the Jervis School District and as a community member to respectfully ask you to reconsider the newly imposed sidewalk requirement. When voters approved our school bond, we worked with experienced engineers and architects to develop a project list that was responsible, affordable, and aligned with standard practices. The planning included improvements to the edge of our property, but no off-site infrastructure like a sidewalk to an abandoned building. At the time, even the city-owned review and the Safe Routes to School study confirmed that our project did not trigger off-site improvements. Now, this late addition of potentially a $500,000 sidewalk fundamentally changes the scope of what voters approved. To pay for it, we would have to cut or delay educational improvements for students and families were promised. This is not just a budget issue. It is a question of fairness and accountability to the community. We are also deeply concerned about safety. The sidewalk would remove mature trees that currently act as a natural barrier between our students and the road. More troubling, it could encourage students to cross at unsafe, undesignated points closer to the highway, something no one wants to see. I also ask you to consider the importance of consistency and how these types of requirements are applied. If a homeowner or a local business renovates their property, are they required to build sidewalks all the way to a vacant lot down the street? If not, I'm struggling to understand why the public school district is being held to a different standard, particularly when the high school is only being remodeled. The requirement itself seems disproportionate given the scope and nature of the project. We all share the goal of safe, well-planned infrastructure in Jervis. But this particular requirement is misaligned with professional studies. It diverts critical educational dollars, and it does not advance the student safety. On behalf of the district and myself, I respectfully urge the council to reconsider this condition so we can keep our bond promise to the community and keep our focus where it belongs, on educating our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Evening, Mayor and members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Anna. I live at 285 Avenue in Jervis. I'm here to actually respond to something different. It's the staff's final decision regarding the duplex partition on 2020 Juniper Avenue. And I do have that tax lot number. When I reviewed the final staff decision procedures, the map, the middle housing land division criteria, the conclusions, and the conditions of approval, my core concerns remain unaddressed. One was the parking concerns. The decision does not explain how parking will be accommodated for 2 attached townhouses on undersized lots. Many of the families in the neighborhood have multiple vehicles and street parking is always scarce. I venture to say that most families have like 5 without adequate off-street parking, the project will increase congestion, will limit access for neighbors and create safety issues, especially for emergency vehicles. My ask is that you please require the applicant to provide sufficient off-street parking before final approval. The next is my biggest concern, which is the alleyway access. The map shows an alley bordering the property. This alley is public right of way, not private land. They have they put a fence right up to it and taken it. The staff division does not address how this alley will remain open and obstructed and accessible to the neighborhood. Allowing private development to absorb or restrict use of public alley sets a harmful precedence and it reduces shared community access. My ask is that you please ensure the alley is clearly protected and kept open for public use. The next is the minimum lot sizing and zoning. The parcels created are below the R1 minimum lot size. While staff cites the middle housing land division law, the decision does not weigh how this section impacts neighboring, the neighborhood character or livability. That means I could put my own another house like right on the lot that I have behind my own. Reducing lot sizes like this after construction is already complete sets a precedent for smaller lots that could crowd the area, just like I mentioned. My ask is to please consider the long-term impact of approving undersized lots in R1 zones and the timing of the notices and the process. The notice was mailed on August 29th, but the duplex is already built. This undermines the purpose of public comment. Neighbors cannot meaningfully weigh in after the fact. And the staff decision does not explain why construction was allowed. Comment. My ask is that you please improve public notice procedures to ensure that residents have a real chance to give input before the projects are completed. And in closing, the staff's final decision overlooks key issues like the alley access, undersized lots, and the lack of timely notice. I respectfully request that the council revisit these concerns and post conditions that address them and strengthen public involvement going forward. Thank you for the time and consideration on that. I also want to bring up the fact that I have drafted and will be collecting signatures, both to send on sidewalk petition to the city of Jervis and to Marion County Commissioners for the Public Works Department. The request is the addition of a sidewalk on 285 Ivy and 3rd Street. And it's very busy. Basically, there's no sidewalk there, and the residents and community members of Jervis and Marion County respectfully submit the petition that we're requesting for the construction of sidewalks along 285 Ivy and 3rd. I think it was 2022 Safe Routes to School report commissioned by the city of Jervis actually indicated that these are high priority areas for the city to address. Just today, I took a walk, came back, and one of the big trucks from Amazon went right into the other side of the street. They can't take that curb. It's just they're just massive. They're too big. So and the neighbor has already had like at least 3 to 5 times where his fence has been taken out, especially during the winter. So I'm sure that we still have documentation from that as well. So this issue specifically in that area is really a lack of an adequate sidewalk, and it has serious safety concerns for pedestrians. Our children are walking to and from school. There's people with disabilities. Community members, have restricted access there. So really, I'm hoping that we can get as many signatures as possible to be able to get on to be able to have public comment about these things. And so that was one of the things I did want to let you know that was coming up The last piece was just, I get that piece there. Thank you. I just wanted to address the issue that may have not been from this council specifically, but I wanted to express concern that the street work that was completed near the Jervis Elementary School, which was specifically on Douglas Avenue and First Street, the original plan included additional parking and a continuous curb along the sidewalk to create a safe barrier between pedestrians and street traffic. Unfortunately, those improvements were not completed. Instead, the city installed an angled individual parking curbs, which, despite repeated requests from the school district to reconsider, was not done. We had already experienced flooding issues in that area, and the new curbs have only made things worse since. After heavy rain, the sidewalk and intersections become virtually impassable. So essentially, it's a loading pool, which is further expanded. It has further expanded an unwalkable zone for students and families. Before the work was finalized, the district talked to the city manager to price out differences in curb options, with the intention of the school board actually being able to help find a better solution. That conversation never actually happened, and the city proceeded with the cheaper option, which has had lasting negative impacts right now. So on First Street, which borders the elementary school, the district office, the preschool, and the welcome center, the city chose to pave over the existing road rather than properly paving it. The shortcut created a crown in the middle of the street, causing water to flow on both sides, especially in our gravel parking lot and bus loading zone.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're way over 3 minutes. Okay, we can the rest of the people.
So I'll bring it up at the next.
Yes, please do.
Public comment.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thanks for your time.
One second, please. You said a lot, just, can you repeat what the first ask was? I was trying to take notes and I tried my best. What was the first ask you asked for?
Well,
It was in regards to the duplex street parking.
the parking concerns. I don't know. I do.
You're asking a planner or developer to address them, is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and a matter of fact, you have already received an email which I sent to the city manager prior to, and then I was sent some legal paperwork with an address on your final staff decision that did not address any of the concerns that I just talked about. Thank you. No, don't concern. I will take my.
I'm a contractor, and I know that many companies require street improvements to do a permit process. I don't know as far as how much of the right of way there that they're gonna require to do, would it be from the high school all the way down to the parking lot at the grade school? Is that my understanding? Or are we talking fire cab out to the corner also?
What's been discussed is from Fiber Fab over just past the trees.
I'm sorry.
From Fiber Fab just to past the trees on the west side.
So we're not talking about the total length of the school property?
Negative.
I just wonder why we're gonna require the funding that's supposed to go towards the school that took forever to get to put into curbs and sidewalks that haven't been there for 60 years anyway. I'm just voicing my opinion. And I'm sorry, my name is James Weigel. I live in Brooks, but I do pay the tax on it. And so if I were you, I would just let Marion County know that at this point in time, you're gonna wait. That would be my vote, okay?
Thank you very
Name
much.
again, please, sir.
James
Oh, he wanted your name.
James
What's that?
He wanted your name.
JDFPSW.
I can't hear very good.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Give me a second for your name again. Thank you. Next, please.
I am nervous, so bear with me, please. My name is Christina Weinbach. I live in Jervis, where I live, at 6733 King Revenues Address. I am a taxpayer to the school district. And that is what I came for public comment tonight. I am asking the council to reconsider their decision on the sidewalk that leads from the high school to Private Fab. As a parent, that worries me because we're encouraging the children to walk towards heavy traffic areas and an empty abandoned building to nowhere. Nothing good ever happens in nowhere. And then as a taxpayer, I feel like it's not great use of tax dollars. As you just mentioned, the sidewalk has never been there. It hasn't been an issue. We did put in new sidewalks that lead to the Dollar General on the other side. So putting in a sidewalk that literally has no benefit to anybody, it's going to cause probably traffic flow issues would be my assumption if people are thinking they can pull over and or get our kids off there or pick them up there, or kids are walking that way and then deciding to cross the road. And we're choosing to do a sidewalk of that magnitude rather than fund important things like the roof or the cafeteria. And so I'm just here politely asking you guys to consider working cooperatively with the school district to find a better solution that benefits everybody involved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
My name is Joseph Barney. I live at 8218 67th Avenue, outside of Brooks. I have a student that goes to the Surbiton, or Jervis School District, and I voted for the bond measure because I did not want to see my son go to a different school. I like the staff, I like the district, and I think I speak for a lot of parents when I say that I voted for that bond because I wanted the money to go to the school. Students are spending all of their time in the building where the funds are supposed to go to. How much time are they spending on the sidewalk? If there's some funds left over, if we get some of the grants or anything like that, perhaps a sidewalk could be a later discussion. But I just really think that the funds that were meant to go to the building and the schools should be directed to what we voted for.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else, please? Come on in.
Hi, my name is Juan Segura. I live on 843 Moore Street. And when we all signed up for that bond and stuff, and we all just wanted stuff for the school, like my kid did it, like elementary and stuff. And my bad. Well, I'm talking loudly, I think. So anyways, I just think it's a waste of money to put something into something that's not going to be used for anything. I mean, I don't think anybody lives out there. There's just a field out there with one house that's got like 50 acres. And then I've never seen anybody walk that way. I wouldn't want to see a kid walking that way because there's crazy people always right there driving fast. I mean, there's always accidents on the highway right there. I don't know why, but there is. So I think it's just a waste of money to blow on that. I mean, you go to the elementary school, it's hot in there when they have meetings. It's an old building that's just sticking because it's really old. It's made out of good wood and everything. And I mean, the paint looks really old. I mean, it's like an old house that hasn't been nothing done to it in a long time because there was no money. So I guess that's it.
Could you say your last name one more time, sir? Juan.
Segura.
Thanks, sir.
I am only a resident, I'm also a parent, and I work at the school district. I agree with most people here that the sidewalk could be a possible hazard for our kids. In like leading to a path to nowhere. Also, the trees are history, part of our school, part of the Jervis. My family members all older than me, mom, sisters, uncles, aunts, all of the Jervis. The school basically had not had been changed or fixed in those many years. So I just believe and wish that the bond would save the school and the sidewalk.
Need some water. The agenda. Thank you for your comments. Next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. As I stated, the next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Approval of minutes to the meeting September 4th, 2025. The council had a chance to read through it. Did the council have any questions on it?
No question.
So you get a motion to approve it, please.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second that motion.
Approved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes for the council meeting September 4th, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All ayes, so thank you very much. All right, new item on the business, or new business on the agenda, vacation file number VAC 2025-01. Petition to vacate a one block partition of public alley in block 18, found by Douglas Avenue, Cedar Avenue, First Street and Second Street, beneath the Jervis Middle School. Jervis will receive the petition submitted and schedule a public hearing on this matter. This one was one that actually confused me because I looked at the 1966 record and it shows printed right on it that was vacated back then. So I'm wondering why we're doing this, just myself.
Our city planner is with us online and has prepared the staff report for you, has done the research as it relates to this particular request. And I think we should allow her to answer your question.
I didn't see her here and I didn't see her up there. Sorry about that.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Kelly?
Can you hear me okay?
Molly?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me? I can hear you. Testing, testing.
We can't hear you right now. So you're muted on this end for some reason. Hold on, please.
Hear me now? Testing. Testing.
Holly, it looks like an error in the room. We can hear you online.
Okay, thank you for that confirmation. That's helpful. We'll let Laura find some more settings there.
Last time this happened, the person had to like actually call in and get put on like speakerphone or something.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Hold on, Holly. Hold on. We can't hear you.
Testing.
This is actually no, the audio is attached. Just one cookie.
Can you hear me now?
Stop. You happen to have her number, Rick?
No, I've been emailing her since we've been here and trying to think.
Holly, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Enter into the chat.
Yeah.
For her phone number.
Announcer number?
I just sent it.
Holly. You
I
can give
just
me,
sent-
I am perfectly fine with my number being public record. It's already over there. If you want to call me, that'd be fine. 509. 768. Got it?
She just called me.
Okay, just your own.
Don't call me.
Fantastic.
Send me her number.
Oh, I just hate-
Molly,
Yes.
We can hear you now.
Yes.
go forward. We had a question about a 1956 removal that has occurred or did not occur.
All right, Rick, can you please hold the speaker in? Pull the mic a little closer. You're in the middle. So, speaker's on the end.
The end of
On
the
your
telephone.
phone.
Into the cell phone.
On your phone.
Joe, micromanage him, please.
City manager, what am I supposed to do?
Thank you. All right, let's try that again, Holly.
My name is Holly Byram and I work for the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. I serve as the contract city planner for the city of Jervis. This agenda item is a very brief item. This is an alley vacation. The city of Jervis has performed several vacations in recent years for both alleys and streets. Tonight's part of this file is very simple. This is a historic alley underneath the elementary school. I acknowledge there is a typo on the city council agenda that says middle school, but this is under the elementary school. So this is block 18 and it's bound by First Street, Second Street, Douglas Avenue, and Cedar Avenue. Over the last couple months, the city staff have worked with the design team for the school district. And the question was raised whether this alley was ever formally vacated. There was conflicting information on those plats, as the mayor astutely observed. And so in digging through archives, the city, the applicant, and the county, no one was able to find a record that this particular portion of alley was vacated. And so this is a housekeeping issue more than anything. This alley is located under the elementary school building already. So the city just follows the procedures that are outlined in the Oregon revised statutes. At this meeting tonight, the only thing required of city council is simply to receive the petition. And so that's the vacation application and all of the signatures that accompany it. And then schedule a formal public hearing for your next meeting. And so at the bottom of page 2 of this staff report, you'll see a motion. And that motion is simply to schedule this hearing for the next regular city council meeting, at which time staff will have a formal motion for adoption. But we do need to provide sufficient notice and we need to reach out for comments from the utility providers as a part of our procedure. So that's it from me. I'm happy to answer any questions. Very straightforward. We will consider all the facts at the next meeting should you schedule that hearing.
I make a motion to schedule a public hearing to consider file number VAC 2021-01, petition to vacate the block 18 public alley bound by First Street, Second Street, Cedar Avenue, and Douglas Avenue in Jervis during the next regular meeting of the Jervis City Council, which is Thursday, November 6, 2025 at 7 p.m.
I'll second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
I,
All approved.
One comment, it looks like the applicants online using Teams to remote into this meeting can hear each other. And so for your next presentation, I think you'll probably have to have them call in as well. So Matt Hasty, if you're online, you should, if you have not already, email your phone number. Great, he already confirmed. Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you for working with us on the technical issues, Holly. All right, now we're going to move on the agenda to the old business. Is that sir?
Was there a vote?
There was a vote and everybody confirmed and said, yeah. Next council meeting. All right, budget committee membership potential appointments. We all have 6 applications that are in our package. And we are here to discuss them now. We fill the seats.
Mr. Mayor and Council. Mr. Mayor and Council, you do have 6 applicants. I did confirm with the Marion County elections earlier today that all 6 of them are electors living within the city of Jervis.
Has the council had a chance to read through the applicants? One thing to consider on this is with our budget being the way it is right now, we really need to consider people with experience in budgeting at all if possible. While everybody is able to join the budget committee, we need to make sure that the data we're presenting to the public and reviewing is not just coming from one thing, it's coming from the actual records and data that's been collected from the budget, for the budget. So that's all, just something I want to say is. Are there any discussions on the applicants? Any questions?
That was my question. Are the applicants here? Like, can we ask them questions?
I did send invites for all 6 of them to attend, encouraging them to attend, and mentioning that the council might have questions for them. I did not ask for RSVPs, I just notified them.
You have questions like that?
Yeah, my big question was if anybody had accounting history.
Well, just from reading it, I noticed that there were 2 that said they had budget experience. One's as financial budget experience as an HR director, and the other one from the previous tenure as mayor here for 14 years.
So it's to say you invited all your ready to come. Which ones actually made it here? Is it possible to have them say publicly why they want to go to the budget committee?
You can ask whatever you want to ask.
This paper.
Revise this, people ask them reasonably appropriate questions.
This is paper. It's. I could go by like how you write. I could do all the things that other people talk. Do you guys mind telling us why you want to go to the committee?
Not at all.
That'd be fantastic.
My name is
Sir, unfortunately, yes.
on the alcohol.
Yes.
My name is Jeremiah Platt. I live at 40 Juniper Avenue in Jervis. I've been here 38 years, and so I have a real vested interest in the city being successful. And certainly one of those ways is how the money gets budgeted. And I know things are in a kind of a financial bind right now, which makes it even more relevant. As far as my history goes, I was a director of human resources for a 500 employee organization in Salem for 30 years. And about 70% of our budget, because it was very employee heavy, was wages, benefits, compensation of all kinds. And so I had a really big part to play in our budgeting. Our budgets went from, when I started, $1 million a year to 20 million a year. So we dealt with a lot of money and a lot of people and a lot of complications and a lot of difficulty trying to make ends meet, just like anybody does in any business. So I do have accounting experience as well. I was an accounting clerk for many years before that time, before I went to work as an HR director. So there's a number of things I think I could contribute and help the city with, potentially at least anyway. So. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Much better than just paper.
Yeah.
Ladies, one of you.
And Contact Black, same address, 40 Juniper Avenue, we've been here 38 years, I'm gonna plate it.
You gotta hold that button, unfortunately.
The button on the
The button on the bottom down there.
That's good.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
I noticed. I noticed I put on my application that I had served here as 14 years, and so as the process of being mayor, you know, I had that opportunity to work with the budget committee at that time and oversee the budget here and the different processes that we went through. But prior to that also, I worked for the state of Oregon with Children's Services Department and a trainer for Marion and Polk County. And I had to deal with budgets then and managing those budgets for all kinds of things. I had to oversee money that was being spent for training materials. I had to develop those budgets for that and make sure that they were actually spent on that. And I learned a lot of good lessons while I was doing that. So my passion is about the city. Kind of why we put our application in was that ever since I left the city, when I couldn't run again, I was not feeling well and I didn't know what for. And I ended up my very last night in office in the ER for one thing, and then they discovered I had ovarian cancer at that time. Been through that, got through that, feeling pretty good, have my good days, have my bad days, but we came to the town hall meeting and I just sat here going, what's happened, you know, and what can be done that can be better, you know, and I don't like spinning my wheels backwards and going around pointing fingers or blaming. I like to say, let's just get on with the show and do what's right and proper, you know, and so knowing that I had this experience already, this is something that I can still control. There's another couple areas that I'm interested in as well that I had set up before I left office that I want to try to hopefully pick back up, but let's get this one done first. So that's why we're here. We also raised 40 children in our home, and that takes a lot of private budgeting. It's not municipality budgeting, but you got to know how to do it to make it work. So give my application. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
For your service.
Please come forward.
My name is Becky Newton. I reside at 765 5th Street, Jervis. Been a resident of Jervis for 35 years. My concern is the safety of our community, being able to support our community where it needs to be. My husband was a small business owner. I was his bookkeeper. I sourced for him. I investigated things for him and helped him run the business. I want our community to survive and to thrive and to provide our kids for our future with the best possible future. And that can't be done if we're struggling to keep our city budget in balance.
Thank you very much. Are any of the applicants on Teams? That's true, we couldn't hear many reasons.
I think it's appropriate to see if there are examples to be.
Yes. So hands up or anything. So out of the 6 applicants, we've been able to listen to 3 of them. Now, since the committee is going to be coming up here very soon, we need to decide on who's going to fill those 2 positions. Council.
Like next year, another seat will be available, kind of thing too. Not too high.
It's a 3-year term, so every year, 2 people come on.
As myself personally, I see that 3 people showed up. That shows they at least have the dedication to want to do something for the city. Say we should at least look at these 3 closely, but you can look at the rest, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, if I was gonna be honest, I know there's another person with a lot of experience. Very good at the job. However, very much like we brought on James, people were here, we can talk, it's tangible, it's seeable. They wrote well, but also they spoke well with their knowledge. So I think narrowing down to these 3 for me. I just don't know what to do there at that point.
Well, I'll just remind the council that budget meetings are open public meetings. So just because somebody is not a member of the budget committee doesn't mean they can't. be Exactly right. And it's helpful to trick your spouse to come.
I was gonna say, I have a vote for Jeremiah. A second.
I'm ready. Bring it on. Oh.
I would take it.
Fine. You vote. Yes, aye.
What are you doing?
We're voting if we want Jeremiah.
Oh, sure. Aye.
So for first position to fill, the question was Jeremiah.
Aye. Okay.
We got one.
It is unanimous. Jeremiah, you have the first seat. Thank you very much. Council, we have 2 seats to fill.
Yeah.
I don't know, when I was reading over the packet and everything and reading the information, kind of like our application, like when I got on here, Becky really stuck out for me as far as what you said in the comments. And it'd probably be good to have somebody who's been in the community and knows like a lot of the background.
I would second Becky.
I don't have a preference. I think they're both legit for forever. Not that was meant to be. But I think they both can speak from town and experience. I don't have a preference. I actually, I will say I have a preference. And this is gonna sound really hypocritical, but to be honest, I would like a different voice. Like, because you guys, I'd like to hear from many different voices possible. So I'd like to hear. I'm also saying that.
That's 3 for Becky.
I'll vote for Becky too.
Aye.
All right, sounds unanimous. Becky then. Jeremiah, Becky, welcome aboard. Still hope to see you there, Shante. Still hope to see you there, though. Perfect. Thank you, council. We now have 2 more members for our budget committee to help us out. The second item on old business is a review of draft economic development strategic plan with consultants.
It's
not fun.
You're going to say.
I won't provide.
All right, Matt, you're up.
All right, can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Okay. So I'm here to give you a brief presentation about the North Berry County Economic Development Strategy.
So it's not feedback.
I mute him. He needs to mute his computer or his phone.
I guess you need to mute your computer. Your audio is coming through.
What's happening? Oh, yeah, I should present. Hold on a second. Okay, I've done that. I won't be able to hear you. It's the only problem. I won't be able to hear what's on the computer, but you won't get the echo now, I think. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll just unmute the computer. There's going to be some points where I pause along the way and ask some questions of y'all. So at those points, I will turn the volume back up on my computer just so I can hear you. If you have comments or questions for me, and I guess if I can see you in sort of a tiny square on my screen, so maybe raise your hands high if you have questions as we go along, and we'll just try to make that work. So yeah, here's the things I'm going to cover in the presentation. Just next slide, please. Kind of a quick recap on the project, and then I'm going to walk through a set of slides to talk about strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities identified for Jervis, potential target industries, also specific to Jervis, and then possible implementation strategies and actions. And what I'd like to do is, after I talk about each slide, I'll stop and just see if what I've said makes sense, if you have anything to add, anything like that. So those will be the points where I kind of stop talking and try to deal with the mic situation here. So sorry about that if that ends up being kind of clunky. And then I'll just very briefly talk about next steps as well. So next slide, please. As I talked to you about back in July, when we had a work session with the council, what we sent to you all in advance of this meeting and what I'm talking about today is essentially an element or a component of the North Berrien County Regional Economic Development Strategy that we are working on with another consultant team and with also an advisory committee of cities in this portion of the county and other agencies. So this is meant to be applicable specifically to Jervis, but it's part of this larger regional planning process and document. And so kind of the intent is to create a shared economic development vision and strategies for the region, but also to identify specific strategies for each of the 9 participating jurisdictions that are part of this process and that are in this part of the county. There's a number of other partners involved in this process in addition to the cities. So Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, the county, of course, SEDCOR, and Business Oregon. I was there in person with my colleague Brandon Crawford, who's not available tonight, but we talked to you about this process then and tried to kind of get a sense of the things that are identified in the regional process, what's important in Jervis. So that's kind of what I'm going to walk through today. We then prepared this draft economic development strategy plan for Jervis, and so I'm here to just kind of present what we've got and see if it makes sense to y'all, and kind of go from there. So next slide, please. So kind of start off with a list of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we started with sort of a list that was specific to that was applied to the Northern Berrien County as a whole. And then based on the conversation with you all that we had last time I was there, we kind of narrowed that list down and added and subtracted things to reflect the conversations we had with y'all. So in terms of strengths, you're part of this broader regional labor market. You're surrounded by farmland, and so you've got our agricultural sector is a strength for the community in the area. We heard high quality life as a strength, as well as just kind of the rich history of the town of Jervis or the city of Jervis. really strong partnership with this school district. That's a strength, and just in a supportive environment for local businesses. Opportunities, one of the things we heard about from the school district and y'all are just the vocational programs that the school district operates. That's a strength. Some of the economic development tools that are applied on a regional basis, the North Marion County Enterprise Zone and Opportunity Zone. Your proximity to the Amazon facility and other regional employers. If you could sort of unlock the potential, you've got some underutilized land in the city that's the railroad property or the property next to the railroad line, and just kind of increasing healthcare and other services is another potential opportunity for the future in terms of workers and businesses. Weaknesses, some of the things we heard, just a fairly young labor pool and kind of limited skill sets in the workforce on a large scale, I guess. Absence of youth sports programs in the community, a limited number of retail businesses. There's some issues in terms of just location and some of the roads that get people in and out of Jervis. So kind of limited access, limited number of roads to and from other parts of the county, and kind of to some degree lack of variety of industries, and just because you're a smaller community, not as much capacity to implement larger scale initiatives or programs. Threats, loss of younger residents if they move out, you're kind of losing potential workers there. We heard a little bit about differences in kind of rural-urban divide, increasing traffic congestion, including traffic that's related to the Amazon facility, and some sort of concerns about just the capacity of water, wastewater, power, broadband, other utilities to support the area. Some concerns about wetlands and the impact of those on development capacity, as well as related to that, flooding or other natural disaster risks. And finally, and this is just sort of an issue in a lot of places, but some certain amount of uncertainty related to larger scale economies, tariffs, et cetera. So that's a quick summary. Well, maybe not so quick, but a summary of what we've got in terms of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that have relevance to Jervis. And again, maybe I'll just stop real quick and see if y'all have any comments about that. I think I'll mute my phone and I'll turn up the speaker so I can hear you if you have stuff to say there.
Councilors, do you have any questions? Is it you? All right, no questions this time. Please continue.
No questions, so please continue.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm kind of trying to manage my computer speaker, my phone speaker, so as to not get the echo. So I will keep moving. So the next slide, please, talks about local target industries. So again, this is based partly on what's in that regional economic development document, but also really in large part on the conversation that we had with y'all when I was there in July. So a few things that you all talked about as potential target industries. I won't pick these totally in order, but one of the things I think we heard maybe towards the top of the list was just kind of basic services, a grocery store, a gas station, things that are just going to meet the day-to-day needs of people in Jervis, and just needing to see more of those types of businesses and services in the community. Potentially more sports or athletic facilities, particularly if those were facilities that could draw tournaments and kind of increase visitation to the area. more cafes, again, partly just to meet the needs of folks there, but also of people passing through. Lodging or hotel facilities, given that you do have the Amazon facility right up the road, that's a potential opportunity or kind of industry to target for Jervis. Healthcare services, I think for a couple reasons. One, just because it's a need in Jervis and a lot of places, and because you've got some opportunities associated with some of the vocational programs that the school district is implementing. And along those lines, again, some sort of pursuing workforce development or vocational services also is kind of a target industry given that partnership there. So again, I will pause there and just see if that's making sense, or if you have any questions or comments, and I'll mute myself and turn off my speaker and turn the computer back on. So sorry about that.
Yeah, the only question I would have for targeting industries is the lodging and hotels. I mean, no one, the infrastructure we have in the city right now would even be able to support a hotel there.
Not within the city.
Yeah.
Bed and breakfast outside.
Yeah, more would be good. But the rest, I definitely agree with you. All right, please continue.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I am taking notes as you're giving me comments to the extent you have them. So yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Next one. Next slide. So I've got a series of slides that I'm going to walk through here that are basically potential strategies to promote or support the economy or economic development there. And you might remember when I was there last time, I did not review every single strategy from the regional planning document. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of them in this that you're going to see kind of in this next set of slides and that are in the report that we sent y'all. But there's even more in that larger regional document. So we kind of pulled out the ones that seem to make the most sense based on, again, kind of the conversations we had and some of the related planning documents that we reviewed. Also, as in the course of putting this document together. So I think I'll walk through these maybe a couple slides at a time and then pause and see if you have any questions on, those couple of slides. There's 5 of these slides. So this first slide is showing actions or strategies that are related to the supply of land and having sites available and ready to meet future employment opportunities. So you'll see that the first 3 of these were rated as, so each of these slides and each of these tables, one, there's more detailed information in the report, but on the slides, what you'll see is kind of a shorthand for the action, who the partners in implementing this action or doing this thing might be, what the relative priority is that we've identified, at least for now, and kind of what the timeline would be to implement these things. And I will note that the timeline and the relative priority don't always sync up completely. High priority doesn't always mean you're going to do it the next 1 to 2 years. Sometimes it's just going to take longer to do the thing, or it's going to be something you do over a longer period of time and maybe get started on a little later. So that's just a little context for what you're seeing in the table. So there's 3 things here we identified as relatively high priorities. One, because you've got kind of a limited supply of sites for employment within the city, maintaining that supply of buildable land and development sites could be a relatively high priority and something you might want to pursue in the shorter term, or I'll say medium term, 2 to 5 years. Encourage, again, because you've got sort of a limited supply of land within the city limits and urban growth boundary there, encouraging infill and redevelopment or adaptive reuse of any sites that are underutilized, also important, as well as just kind of inventorying opportunity sites for public-private projects. And that would, even though it's kind of, you don't need to inventory it because you know it's there, but those properties next to the railroad could fall into that category as well. These other couple of things we identified more as medium or lower priorities, evaluating wetland mitigation to increase developable land. That one's a little bit of a big lift. It's something you could explore, but we noted it as more of a medium than a high priority. And then infrastructure improvements, noted as a relatively low priority, but it is something you can pursue as you have funds available, but it's probably a longer term sort of strategy. So those are the ones related to land supply. Maybe we'll hit the next slide as well, and then I'll pause again and see if you have any comments or questions. So the sort of second category, there's just a couple of them in here. These are related to kind of policy and development code related strategies. So both of these we said we thought were a medium priority and something to take a look at in the next 2 to 5 years, just given the amount of time it's been since you've updated some of your comprehensive plan policies related to economic development, and also taking a look and making sure that both your comprehensive plan, but also your zoning ordinance allows for the types of employment uses that you want to see there. So those we showed as medium. And then the next set of actions is under supporting and expanding employment opportunities. This is more sort of things that are done at kind of with some regional support. So you see SEDCOR listed under all of the things under here, 8 to 11, as well as the county, as well as you all. So these are kind of things to help market new companies to come to Jervis to locate there. And so they all kind of have to do with coordinating with SEDCOR regarding some of those potential marketing efforts that they could potentially help with. I won't go through all those in a lot of detail, but the marketing plan specific to Jervis, we noted that as more of a low priority, and really maybe more just some of these ongoing things where you get support from SEDCOR and or the county to use some of the tools that are kind of already out there to look for expanded employment opportunities there. So I'm going to take a pause and just see if those things are making sense, or if you have any comments on any of that.
Councilman Ferrero, comment? Just for clarity, can you? I'm seeing on here where it's saying that it's a low priority for the actual infrastructure improvements to accommodate growth. I thought that was one of our critical points we have right now, isn't it? Water.
Water was.
Yeah, so water, I mean, I know we have waste, that was improved. I just didn't know if it should actually be a low priority or not. Let's just know that is a problem. Yes, correct. Yeah.
That's a good question. And that might be one where, yeah, we want to bump it up at least for, did I hear you say it's maybe a higher priority for water service, and that wastewater, you're in better shape? Did I get that right?
Yes. Correct, yeah, for any of these improvements, any sites of building or in the future, we would need the water.
Okay.
To do it.
Yeah, good comment. And I know we have, heard some comments about different types of infrastructure last time we were there, and we might have just kind of not been nuanced enough on that one. So we can kind of take a look at adjusting those priorities.
Please continue.
Any other thoughts on any of those on the first couple slides?
Looks like everyone's agreeing so far. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. All right. We'll go to the next slide or two. So there's a couple of categories here, smaller numbers of strategies in them though. So small business development, evaluating development of an incubator space, and also connecting small business opportunities with property owners. I'm going to have to admit, I'm not sure exactly why we identified the first one as a high priority and the second one as a medium priority. So I'll be interested in your thoughts on that. There's a number of potential partners, I think, for that item number 12, including SEDCOR, Chemeketa Community College, the Willamette Career Academy. But that's kind of where these landed in the report, at least at this point. And then under workforce initiatives, we did identify both of those things as relatively high priority, in part just because of the local partnerships and potentially you have that related to those things. So supporting connections with the school district as well as the community college and University Service for Education and Training. And you've again got a number of great partners for those, and promoting workforce training resources. So a similar set of partners there. So those were both things that we thought ought to be identified as high priorities and can be continue to be looked at in the shorter term. So that's those. We can go to the next one. And then these couple of categories, the first is development incentives. These, a couple of these we noted as low priorities, particularly because they just take a certain amount of resources. They sort of get up and going, and we're not sure that that it would be challenging to have the resources, and B, tax exemptions and abatements. They help the entity that's getting the tax abatement or exemption, but they also sort of take, they reduce the tax revenue for the city as a whole. So that one we rated as low, same with opportunity zones. But there is a North Marion County enterprise zone that's in place, so kind of continuing to look at opportunities associated with that. In coordination with SEDCOR, we noted it as a medium priority, and because it's in place, it's something there might be opportunities to look at in the shorter term. We also heard that a couple of actions related to the transportation system could be at least medium priorities. Again, to the extent you are able to unlock the property next to the railway or the rail line, that's a potential opportunity. And we also heard from folks who were at the meeting that just making sure that there's the ability to get around there by car, but also by bike and walking is important. So we showed that as a medium priority. Although we did hear about some congestion related to roads in and out of Jervis, we didn't hear that they didn't have the capacity, that they did not have adequate capacity. So we showed that one as a relatively lower priority. And then all of these, we're showing kind of who the potential partners are. So we'll take a pause there and see if you have comments on either the last slide or this one.
Question from the council? No, I have you right now. Please continue.
Awesome. Okay. I think I've got just one more slide related to these different strategies. So we'll go to that next one. And I will say right now, before I get started, or as I get started, that these are not numbered correctly. So apologies for that. We'll fix up the numbering in the next draft of this. They should continue from the last slide. So I think these should be 21 to 23. These are funding sources. And so I think, one of the things we've heard is having additional funding to implement some of the things that we talked about in the earlier slides is potentially important. And so we noted tax increment financing as a potentially a medium priority, pursuing state money for roadway improvements, both for roads that connect to Jervis, but also transportation facilities within Jervis. Also noted that as a medium priority. And then looking at, and those we showed the timeline kind of 5 to 10 years out, more of a kind of medium term action. And then the last one was just, looking for opportunities to get state grants or loans, again, to help with improvements to your transportation system, or that would help support economic development there. So that one we showed is a relatively higher priority. So any thoughts about those? Does that make sense to y'all?
I've got a question.
Yeah, go for it.
We don't have a TSP.
Okay, well, that's maybe one.
Yeah.
That might be another strategy would be to prepare an adopted TSP, because that's one way that you can then pursue some of these types of projects. So that's a really good point.
And I would think, I'd like to see it as a high priority, but you know, I'm a planner, so I'm biased. But I think developing a transportation system plan, so we have in process how we evaluate our streets, how we repair, how we fix, how we build long-term financing for our transportation needs. That we need that, and I'm thinking 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, at least to try to get the ball rolling on it. Yeah, if you don't have one in place now, I would agree that's an important one to pursue, and we can add some language about kind of what the steps might be, you know, what the time frame might be. So yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, absolutely. All right, any other thoughts on this slide? All right, let's go to the last one, which I think is the next one. And so this is just the next step slide. So our next step, couple things. One is to revise this based on what we heard tonight. But I would say that if you do have any other thoughts about anything you're seeing, either that you saw in this presentation, but also that you see in that more detailed planning document that we sent to you, let us know. Tonight's not the only opportunity to identify changes or additions or refinements to that. So I would say maybe just to, you know, set a deadline for everybody, maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks. If you have a chance to look through that in more detail, if you haven't done that, send us any comments you might have on that. That would be great. And then we can take those comments along with what we heard tonight and update that document. And then really how you sort of treat that document in terms of its, I guess, significance. I don't know the right word here, but you could adopt that document, you know, as kind of your local economic development plan. It doesn't meet quite all the requirements of what's called an economic opportunities analysis, but it still could, I think, be adopted as an economic development strategy plan. Or you wouldn't, and that would be, I assume, adopted by an ordinance. Or you could just kind of say, you accept this as a valuable piece of information that you're going to use to move forward, you know, as you look at how to improve economic opportunities there. So I think that's just kind of up to you. I'll check in with the county and make sure that's sort of the way they see it too, but that's kind of the way at least we see it. And then, you know, it would serve basically as a tool for you to address these strategies and try to implement these strategies in partnership with those other organizations we mentioned in future planning efforts, you know, by the city and others there. So those are really kind of the both shorter term and the longer term next steps for y'all. And we will be meeting, I think, in the next month or so again with our project advisory committee. And if kind of more guidance or direction comes out of that group, I will we'll circle back and let you know. But those are my thoughts about, or our thoughts about next steps. So any questions about that?
And I'm not seeing any feedback, contact information in the packet, so we just go through you, Rick. Any feedback, Rick? Any words? Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me tonight. Thanks for bearing with me with audio issues, and yeah, appreciate the time. And do let us know if you have any other comments on the report or the presentation, you know, as a follow-up. And it was good to be here, at least on the screen with you tonight. So thank you.
Thank you for bearing with us on our audio issues. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Take care.
With no further comments on that, we're going to move on to the next item. Item C, Police Department plans, council direction to staff.
Good evening. The council had requested staff to facilitate a community forum as it related to our long-term financial issues and police department planning that are so interrelated, since we spend a vast majority of our general fund on law enforcement services. We had a great community forum. You have in your packet a staff report on page 61 of the council packet. And you have tonight a cream colored 2-pager double-sided. So this is on the agenda tonight to sort of have a conversation about where do we go from here. Timing wise, we do not currently have a full-time police chief. We have Carlos serving as interim, as Daniel has moved to a position with McMinnville, and his term was up October 1. At the community forum, we discussed a lot of different aspects of law enforcement for our community. I was thrilled with the attendance. I was thrilled with the amount of public input we had. I did a staff report, which is in your council packet again, that attempted to assimilate together the common thoughts, the common themes, the common things that were shared during the meeting as it related to funding and as it related to options for police coverage for our community. I walked away from that with some very basic choices, I think. And I believe that most would concur that the choices at this point that seem to have carried the most mojo or whatever is either A, we continue as we have in our past in having a department funded it to the ability that we can, recognizing that based upon our current financial situation, we're not going to be able to fund it as full as we have budgeted to do so. Recognizing that we're a training ground, recognizing that some of our staffing is a little bit diverse, but not with a lot of high level of executive experience that we are tough for us to obtain. To that, I would add that Turner just went out and recruited for a new police chief, got 7 apps, 3 of them experienced police chiefs from within the state, and interviewed 3 of them. And I know the city manager has made his first ranking, but they anticipate hiring somebody. They found somebody. He was pleasantly surprised, as most of the people that I've talked to about it, that level of experience came forth to serve Turner, to have 3 experienced police chiefs apply there. Their budget, their advertisement for that position was within our budget range. So, we're not talking out of the world for us. So that's one option, is that we continue as we have on our own and maintain what we have and accept the limitations that come with that. The other option I think that's open for us is whether or not the council wishes to direct me to enter into negotiations with another department who is interested and has made a proposal to us as we would be a contracted service for them. They would service contractually. They already serve another jurisdiction contractually. So it would be the three of us on that kind of arrangement. And for that, we gain support, we gain coverage, we gain hours, we gain administrative experience that we currently lack, and we gain a certain level of finances based upon the fact that we would be most likely spending less money than our other options. So we had the community meeting, you've heard the public speak. I would draw your attention to the cream-colored report. And on the last page on which there's print, there's more copies up here on the desk. The cream-colored report up there on the desk, of course. For the first time, instead of just saying, council, tell me what you want me to do, I'm also in this report and at this point in time, based upon the input that we have received and the research that we've done, I am recommending to the council that they direct me to enter into negotiations with Mount Angel for the purpose of determining how that would look. How would that layout look for us organizationally wise, financial wise, staffing wise, hour wise? If the council directed me to enter into negotiations with Mount Angel, we would get a more complete and accurate picture of what it would mean for the city of Jervis. Or tell me that you want to stick with how we've been doing business, and I will go out and start recruiting for a new police chief next week. That's sort of the crossroads that we're at right now. And again, this is more than just a personnel decision, i.e. by your city manager. It's a community decision. There's pros and cons on all of this. As your chief finance officer, I might have a particular bias about the money figure involved. And I'm upfront about that. But also, if you look at what it takes to provide mentorship for inexperienced officers and what it takes to be a training ground, it is a little bit tougher when we only have one administrator in the police department versus being in a relationship with another department that has a sergeant, a deputy chief, and a police chief. So there are a lot of different ways of looking at this. And tonight I'm asking for direction from the council as to which of those two avenues they would like me to proceed. And again, reading the last paragraph, to date, I have not recommended an option. The Mount Angel option would provide stability to our law enforcement services. While our service provider would not be us per se, the superior level of consistency of professional services, the coverage of our city's liability standards and practices would provide a superior product to our citizens, as well as a better financially known cost to our entire municipal organization. Either option, I am more than happy to serve as your administrator and move forward with. Either option are both options that I have administered in the past as a city manager, having come down both contracted as well as having police departments. So I'm comfortable either way. But I would ask you to seriously consider our financial stability as well as our organizational stability that I think would be more benefited by having contracted services from another department. That's sort of the sum total of where I'm at. And again, my request is that the council publicly provide me with direction as to which way to pursue as it relates to recruiting or negotiating. Glad to address questions.
So, you don't have enough money to, or we're in the red for our police budget. How do we get more money in there to fund what the citizens seem to want, which is more coverage?
Well, there is an option to create a law enforcement fee on our utility bills. And I did ask the city attorney to come prepared to speak to that process. In case the question got asked. So either we talk about adding or creating a law enforcement fee, or we go out for a bond, but we could go out for a bond for almost a year. So that doesn't exactly help us today. We build up and we try to contract other outfits, but I don't think we have the experience or place to do that. Did I get to the root of your question?
Yes. So he can present the amount of money that we would get if we wanted to do that. So
Well,
what do you mean?
I get fearful when attorneys start talking money. I asked them to talk about the process.
Okay.
If we added a $10 fee to our 720 utility customers, that would monthly bring in $720 times 10. If everybody paid their utility bill, which is not likely, but that would give you a ballpark figure to do your own math. We have 720 residential customers. That doesn't count commercial. And if we did, a $10 monthly fee, that would give you a certain amount of money and multiply it times 12. And I think you would be able to afford half an officer. Half an officer.
What's the bond?
Well, we could go out for a bond, just like, our fire districts will go out. They have a bond now. It expires in November of 2026. They're already making plans to go out to renew that bond in 2026. So they sort of count on that bond for all their nice engines and their new station and stuff like that.
Same as like the school goes for a bond. It's still the taxpayer thing.
Yes, it is.
I have another question. What does Mount Angel get out of being, or whoever we would contract with, what do they get out of? Like what is the profit that they get from supplying us officers?
Well, they added an admin figure to the proposal that they gave us. And I'm thinking it was in the 45,000 range. Well, that's from memory. It was a percentage of what was proposed. But they get a little bit of extra admin money from us as a part of that proposal. They get more direct interagency work too, because they support us, we support them. The flow goes back and forth a lot easier based upon within the department than two separate departments.
Thank you.
So one option is the public safety fee on the utility bill. What about another option that the police chief talked about, how the department themselves could raise money? I remember him talking something about the police department themselves could actually make money.
You guys know things, yeah.
I think you're talking about, he was speaking about partnering with like a federal agency, where they basically paid for a position, but to be quite honest, for a federal agency to partner with an agency of our size, almost impossible.
Right.
I got a question. As far as partnering up with another agency, how would that look like doing that now that you only have 2 officers? They're actually short staffed too.
Well, that would be a part of the negotiations that would occur if the council directs me to negotiate.
I'm usually the quiet one, so I'll start with the question, because we were waiting from the community involvement of our last thing about the deficit and everything and how in debt we are. Weren't we supposed to have an audit to finalize like where we're at?
I anticipate that at the budget meeting on the 28th, I will know a more exact figure as to where we are at financially.
Because there was a definite consensus from the community that they wanted to keep their police officers here in the community.
My interpretation, and we all were all in the room at the same time, was that they definitely there were 4 comments saying we need to keep our police department. There were 3 comments that said we need more enforcement. Well, it's our police department that decides what kind of enforcement goes on here. So I see a contradiction between liking our police department and yet wanting more enforcement than what our police department is providing us. So yes, you're correct. We had 4 comments that said we like our police department. But we had almost just as many comments about wanting more enforcement here or there or somewhere else that our current police department, they didn't feel was providing.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely correct. There were comments from people saying, but that's not really, this is a council decision telling me what they want me to move forward on. And that's why I'm here tonight.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I agree with you. There was 4 comments well, probably at least 4 comments that they want police department. The 3 who said they wanted more coverage. There's this problem we have where we think that we can do both. And that's just the reality is, we can't, not with our current funding. Universally, almost anybody I've spoken to, anybody I saw that night, everybody wants our police department. Everybody, I haven't heard a single person say, I don't want it. Even people who I used to hear that all the time saying we pay too much for our police are still saying, oh yeah, I'm okay with it. The problem I have is here, I'm just gonna follow what I want. I want us to pursue another chief. I want us to keep our police department. What I also want, which I don't think is gonna happen, is for our community to recognize the restraints that they're under and realize we're not gonna get the coverage that we want in this process. Because it's very clear they want their police department. I think we should support that. There's the major stakeholders. We should honor that. But it may not look as nice as they want it to look. That's just the reality. That's my take.
I agree with Jesse. I'm all for keeping the police department. I'm looking for another chief. As of right now, since we don't have one, we are kind of banking that money that we're not paying the chief, so.
Yeah.
How soon are we looking at the 3rd officer hiring on? Or is that still an option? When they interviewed you recently?
You're asking about another officer, sir?
Yeah, recently they had an interview for another officer.
We have interviewed another officer currently going through background checks, which we will get near the end of this month from an independent investigator who is doing a very thorough background check.
Okay, the second question I have is, did you talk to the city manager for Turner to find out how they actually advertise? Do they use the linebacker program or do they use a different program to advertise for police chiefs?
They did not use a linebacker program. I know the gentleman there. We went to graduate school back. So, but I'm sure I have access to whatever it is that he did for his advertising. Is not a problem.
Thank you.
Can we just make a motion to direct you to look one of the chiefs, that's what I would like to do. You did make a motion for that, Rich. I make a motion for us to pay for a new chief. The citizens really want that. I hear Rick's concerns, in his benefits on the other side as well. But the reality is everybody wants us to do this, so I think that's our responsibility as a council.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second, so let's go ahead and do a roll call by name. Councilwoman Gittes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ray.
Aye.
Council President Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Gittes.
Aye.
Councilman Gould.
Aye.
Unanimous decision to look for a police chief, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have my staff report in the, moving ahead on the agenda. Okay, Mr. Mayor?
Go for it.
You have my staff report in the council packet. I've got a couple add-on items. One, sometime next week, we'll meet with county. On the 15th, Joe and I are meeting with County Public Works. Joe sent them a letter after we got an inquiry from a counselor about any kind of improvement we can do as it relates to the pedestrian crossing next to the market. And so Joe drafted a letter to Marion County, and we have a meeting with a public works engineer and his supervisor next week. You know, I'm going to make the argument that even the increased truck traffic from Amazon, as well as non-truck traffic, that maybe we could squeeze a little money out of some support and put it on the flashing crossing thing or something there. But anyway, we're working on that one. First day that we have major rain, the elementary school principal has my cell phone, both my cell phone numbers, and I'm going over to take a look at this flooding issue over at the elementary school. I've not had the opportunity to experience that yet, but evidently we have a design issue with the sidewalk and parking with a project that the city had some hand in, and I'll be going back and looking at that. We now have a brand new city Zoom account as we are progressing in more effective and efficient communication tools within this facility. It is independently owned by the city of Jervis, and we are working on training in other aspects, and we'll be switching to that. I'm hoping by our next council meeting, maybe our next budget meeting. That's the three add-ons I have. Any questions regarding my staff report that was in the packet or anything else?
Are we looking at any type of urban renewal funds? Since we got a lot going on.
We do not have an urban renewal district. I have created them previously. In fact, Reedsport is hard. Reedsport yesterday got the Small City of the Year award based upon the urban renewal district that the crazy city manager in Reedsport created down there in 2007. But you got to have development in order to get urban renewal money. It's incremental, so it's based upon the increased amount of tax revenue based upon an increase in the value of the property. We don't have a district. If we were looking to expand our urban growth boundary and including commercial or light industrial zoning, it would definitely be something we'd want to look at. But we want to be increasing our urban renewal district and looking at the zoning in order to address that. But it takes a long time. I mean, I created that district in 2007 and the city got recognized for it yesterday. But it is a funding source.
While you're going to talk to the county, little segue here, I was talking to some of the smaller cities, and councilors and mayors. And one of the things that was our issue here with the county road coming through. And being the fact that we're seeing a lot of semi trucks going through, 53 footers, things like that. That corner right there in First and Ivy is definitely not set up for that kind of use. Right now, I just run semi trucks and fuel trucks. And if you know what a semi truck drifts, you're talking about the whole trailer coming over about 4 feet, trying to come around the corner. That's into the other lane. So they suggested talking to the county about putting a restriction, not allowing large trucks through town. And I mean, we've got plenty of room for them to go up and around, on the farmlands, but at least restricting it so they're not coming through, tying up traffic there. I mean, I've been through there with the 53 footer was holding up traffic because I was waiting for the train. So, so something to consider if we talked about.
Glad to listen.
I had already emailed county about that. I was gonna try to combine that into our meeting next week about improving the pedestrian safety there and the traffic. That intersection is just terrible. So hopefully gonna talk to the same people and make some progress on that.
You're the man.
Anything else for my report? Police Department.
Next report.
So for the period between August 29th and September 30th.
Thank you, Chief. Can you please come up so we can hear you and you reported?
So for the reporting period between August 29th and through September 30th, we've had 124 calls of service and officer initiated calls, 4 arrests, 64 traffic stops, 50 resulting in traffic citations, and then 41 warnings for other violations. 13 times assisted other agencies and 9 ordinance violations. We are listening to the community's desires. This past month, our traffic stops have increased by approximately 80% from statistical averages of the past 1.5 years. We are building towards a 400 to 600% increase in proactive policing, traffic stops, subject stops, and positive community context. We are always focused on traffic education, with an understanding of when enforcement and citations is the appropriate course of corrective action. And then I do just want to say thank you for all the positive comments we've been getting. This is our entire police department right here. So we do have a lot of work, but we do appreciate the continued support and with the coverage issues, I appreciate the understanding. We try to have coverage at night, but we also try to have coverage during the day when schools are in session, because to me, it's very important that we have officers around when schools are going, because you never know what could happen at the school. And I just think it's very important to have officers here, even if not in the school, but around when school is going. So thank you.
Question?
Yes.
So you said you have an 80% increase in citations that you said roughly?
Traffic stops.
Traffic stops. Have you gotten any pushback from people like citizens? Just curious.
I personally haven't. I don't know if Officer Navarro has.
I haven't, based on the traffic stop that I've done, for the most part, either people are saying that people are in speed, registration, or no insurance, so they're pretty understandable.
And I think a lot of the ones, especially that Officer Navarro's been getting, are Amazon employees who don't live in town, but are driving through town in the early mornings.
On the part of the police department, the question I have for you is, we were talking a little bit about the graffiti over on Ivy.
We have some graffiti over on Ivy that I took pictures of the other day, but evidently it's been there for a while. And it's a constant issue which we have not been able to successfully address.
Correct. And I know for a fact that Service Clean Team has actually gone and actually asked the owners if we'd be able to, help them get rid of it. They're tired of being tagged all the time. They literally clean it up or they comply with it. They flip the fence post around and within a week they're tagged again. It's a continuing issue over on Ivy. So the question that somebody brought up to me was the camera that's over there in the park right now. Is there a possibility of getting something like that maybe over on Ivy or something to record people that are driving in and out of the neighborhood? Because the assumption is it's probably the same groups, but nobody's ever able to catch them.
Is that camera functioning at Black Walnut Park?
I am not sure if that camera functions there. As far, I've been here. That's not a camera that we have access to.
Yeah.
Audience has a question?
I want to know if it'd be okay if I address the council and the Marion just briefly on, you're talking about the trucks and the Marion County and everything, as a little history, and a year maybe that we can go back and look at some of what's already occurred. Or okay with it before I do.
I think we have time for that.
Okay, I'll keep it really brief. Just a real quick history, because I'm not recognizing a lot of you must have come in with the new housing on that end and the new housing on this. When we moved here, there was none of that. Then as the houses kept getting built, and obviously there was more traffic that came through. And we did get a lot of, especially in the summertime when the apartments and stuff would come through with their big trucks, and our streets were getting torn up. I think Lori's husband, Faye, was still on the council at that point, where we went and worked with the county on how to reroute that before we did the school safety routing through there. And so we took it from before Amazon came now, before the trucks are coming through here, and rerouted it down 5th Street because they couldn't go down 7th. We had the school bumps there for the Catholic school. So all the trucking was supposed to go through there, come around and go out checkerboard, if they weren't going straight across the pathway there. Because what was happening is the same thing you're talking about. They come down Ivy, go around that corner, take out the curbing every time. And then our public works director at that time decided to build the 3-foot curb there that, the fencing that gets taken out. And then I worked with Sam Bertano, our commissioner at the time, 2.5 years of letters and meeting with them to get the school zone so people would quit coming across 99 and 55 miles an hour right when the school was there and not stopping. So that was evacuated. He wanted to leave it at the school safety zone there, but on the other side, it's not going to do any good because you still got 55 miles, so they broke it down to 35 coming into Jervis. So it slows it down coming in this way. But because of the increase of our neighborhoods and Amazon, the routes are using all through the neighborhoods, eventually it's going to start really breaking down our streets and the capacity of budget talks about fixing potholes. So the reason I brought this up, Rick, is I think that in 2005, 2006, somewhere around there, there was something already in the past about using 5th Street, and we had worked with the county on that. I'm not sure who did that.
Was it like designating the truck route?
It was designating the truck route, and also along with that, in my tenure is that we also said these great big trucks that are parking around all of our streets just willy-nilly, we're not allowed to do that. They had to have their own cars at their homes and go park their trucks. And then I worked with the tile company, and they were allowing people to bring their bigger trucks down there because that whole railroad park down there, they bought that. And they were, they did not care. Sharon was her name that works down there. If people came and parked their trucks there and then went home to their homes in Jervis. So there's ways to collaborate and get these trucks out of our neighborhoods down parked safely again. Well, that all got changed, but they are blocking our views of getting around.
Thank you for your input. Rick, would you be able to look into that, see if there is an ordinance or something, or think about getting one in place? Yeah, the small cities were saying actually getting allowed to go down the straightaways, like straight up by the school, but go out of town and go down there before the freeway and come back on checkerboard that way.
Yeah, if they were going out, east, they went across. They have to go to the school zone now. They have to slow down for that. If they're going south, then they cut across checkerboard and go down. Now we have the school kids all being picked up there, so it's just a lot of congestion. It's not a matter of rerouting all that.
All right, look at that, please. Thanks, sir. Thank you. I believe that's everything unless somebody else has something for the police department.
I would just ask our entire police department if there's anything that you want the council to be looking at to help sort of force multiplier things to support while we are understaffed but working to ramp up.
I don't think anything specifically. I think, I think like Counselor, Jesse Geddes already kind of mentioned, it's just the understanding of that there is only two of us and we can't cover 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we try to rely on our partner agencies as well, like Mount Angel, Hubbard, but they are all also struggling with staffing issues just like we are. And so, we try to be here as much as we can. And again, we kind of have to give and take on whether, we have officers here during the day when school's gone or have officers here late in the evening when the town's really ghost town and there may be speeders coming through town. Yeah, I mean, just again, understanding that we can only do so much with two people. And hopefully, I know Rick mentioned that third one, she just did her background interview. And that background should be done by the end of this month. So hopefully if everything goes well, fingers crossed, she could potentially be starting by the end of November, December timeframe. So that would really help us get back on our feet. And if we are potentially able to hire another person, preferably a lateral, and we know there are a couple out there that we've talked to who could be interested in coming here. We're constantly recruiting even when we're not actively hiring. And there are interests, but I think a lot of the lack of applicants that we've had is due to the constant, where are we going to have a police department or are we not? And so I guess we would just ask as a police department if the direction that you are wanting to go is to hire a new chief and keep us here, is that we can start selling that to people and get people who want to come work here.
I can't speak for the council that's going to come after us, but I think that's our intention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next staff report, Public Works.
Thankfully, not a lot on it. Our new guy passed the test. He's now certified like the rest of us are. We're all certified. Now we're going to keep working toward additional certifications. So anybody can do anything basically, kind of the goal. A lot of outside projects got wrapped up this last week. Been working on the jail, a few places around the park, stuff will get done before the weather, gets really nasty. And we had a little bit of work done at the water plant. It resolved a few issues that have been bothering us for anywhere from a few weeks to a year. And now everything's working well.
Good to hear. Thank you very much. And last item is the check register. Did we get a chance to read through it?
Hey, JD, with the council back.
I have a question. There's two payments to the COG. I'm assuming one of them is our normal payment and the other one's for services. Is that, am I reading that correctly?
I'd have to pull the two bills to look at them.
Is it common for us to pay them twice?
The timing would be approximately right for it to be services plus the annual. I'm not saying that's what it is.
I guess it would be nice to look.
Also got additional information.
Thank you.
Who is Central Square Technologies?
Our technology, that's our credit card readers.
Central Square.
Has something to do with police. I think it has something to do with the police. I was pretty sure we didn't have any credit card readers. That's why we just launched the online. Yeah. So that was my question. So the annual maintenance. I wondered who that was.
What was the name of that one? Central Square Technologies.
And then my other question was who my bridge team is.
Questions from the council?
So would it behoove us to maybe look at possibly buying our own mini excavator instead of renting them all the time?
We are looking into that avenue. We did not have someone proficient in the use of one until we hired this new guy and it's, you are bring on part-time then.
There's so many issues with that. When does Kyle get back?
Not soon enough. But no, we are actually looking at that cost versus how much you got done in such a short time. It would really be helpful for us to acquire one at some point.
Thank you. No other questions? Moving on. We're now at the mayor and our council reports. Anything to discuss that hasn't already been discussed tonight? Okay, negative, not seeing any. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to enter into an executive session. Executive session under ORS 192.6602H to consult with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. We will go ahead and go into executive session. Let's meet over in the meeting list. I have, I prefer being conference since I do not have a lot of faith in our audio visual.
Well, not hearing us is not.
Yeah, right.
That's status.
I was talking about too. I'd rather be at home.
Still that time.